don't get to carry them over. You have to pass them as you go. In OAU, we just have physiotherapy and occupational therapy. You are just entering. Why are you repeating? That was what I asked myself then too. Hey loved ones, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if this is your first time on my channel, do well to click on the subscribe button, and just like that, you are the latest loved one of mine. We'll be discussing physiotherapy. I'm excited about this one. In case you don't know, I'm a physiotherapist. I'm currently interning at an hospital. I'm just going to tell you guys how to become a licensed physiotherapy, a confirmed physiotherapist in Nigeria. Basically, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. So I'm sure you are probably waiting for a vlog, but yeah, this is a sit-down videos for my undergraduate, fresh secondary school graduates. Yeah, I'm telling you guys about physiotherapy just in case you're interested in physiotherapy. I've been having requests such as this, and this. So far, I'm finally bringing it into fruition. Because when I started this channel, one of my motives then was to create content on physiotherapy and actually tell people about it. Because when I was a student, I didn't really get a lot of physiotherapists talk about the profession itself. So there was like a lot of misconceptions, like misunderstandings. I was just learning on the go. Basically, there was a lot of confusion here and there. So I'm going to take it from the basics. I'm going to start with all that you need to become a physiotherapist in Nigeria. To become a physiotherapist in Nigeria, you have to have graduated school, senior secondary school, or high school in some cases. At that phase of the last 3 years of secondary school, I mean the SS3, SS2, and SS1, you have to be a science student. You cannot just be a physiotherapist if you are in the art class or in the commercial class, because you will still need like the prerequisite like biology, chemistry, and physics. All these things you still need them in school. You would still need them to like even gain admission in the first place. As someone that is about to gain admission to a university in Nigeria, so you have to like have your papers right. What I mean by papers are your exam. Like you have to have good results in exams like WAEC, which is West African Examination Council, and NECO, National Examination Council, yeah, as well as JAM, Joint Admission Matriculation Board. Ooh, I remember these things. Anyway, so you have to like have good scores to be able to meet the cutoff mark. This cutoff mark that I'm talking about is actually dependent on the university of your choice. For OAU, I don't know what it is anymore. All these exams, prepare for them like as great as you can. Like give it your best shot, basically, because you want to like aim so high, especially for these medical courses, courses like medicine, dentistry, medical rehabilitation, nursing, even pharmacy. Those are the courses I can really speak for. When you gain admission into the school, either the private school or the public school, which is also the government school, either one, you would have decided the one that you want to pick at that point that you're already filling your jam form, that you're already going for post UTME, all those parts, you would have actually decided the type of school that you want to go in. That is done, and when you have like a good mark for the jam, for WAEC, or for NECO, when you have good results also at your post UTME, maybe in percentage, because I think it is now percentage. So now you've met the necessary cutoff mark. Next thing is to actually resume as a fresher, which is the 100 level. 100 level, which is also known as part 1. Sometimes I might call it part 1, part 2, part 3, or 100 level, 200 level, depending. I just want you guys to like understand it in case you hear either of it. Anyway, so when you get into the first year of study, this stage is basically for the general science student. Like you are doing courses with the zoology students, you are doing botany, you are doing sociology, you are doing physics, you are doing chemistry, you're doing everything with other biological science students. So that phase, we call it the White House phase in OAU, because White House is the building for chemistry department. So they still refer you as science student. They still refer to you as you are still in your White House era. Even our senior colleagues told us then that we were not yet in the college because we were still roaming around. At this phase, you actually still have to be very careful because this phase is still very crucial. Even though the pass mark for each course is 40%, you still want to make sure that you like get the pass mark and move on. Because if you don't get the pass mark, you get to like repeat the year until you get it. And as long as somebody is failing in part one, you keep repeating until you pass it, you don't move forward. That is how it works. You're receiving that exam with the next set. That means you're not doing anything except that. The only thing you can do and add to it is probably do your electives and all. Personally, I had an issue in my part one as well. I had to like repeat my part one for some reasons, which I don't want to like really go into. Yes, I had an extra year in part one. It was a painful experience. I have a video linked, check it out in case you're interested in that story. Anyways, I didn't really go in depthly. Maybe someday I will go in depthly and yeah, just maybe. Anyway, so moving on, you don't want to find yourself repeating in part one because you are just entering while you're repeating. That was what I asked myself then too, but I don't really want to go back that memory lane. That is all gone in the past. So when you're picking your course of study in schools like OAU or Uniben, you have to like pick medical rehabilitation because you cannot find physiotherapy itself in the list of the courses that is within there. So you have to like search for medical rehabilitation because medical rehabilitation is like a body that houses these different specialties: the physiotherapy, occupational therapy, um prosthetics and aesthetics, speech therapy, and yeah. But in OAU, we just have physiotherapy and occupational therapy. So yeah, make sure you like be conversant with that before you move on, because it is when you get to like part two that's when you now have to narrow down into either physiotherapy or occupational therapy. Along the line, we still have some similar classes together, so you can still use your part one, your 100 level to like decide the specialty that you really want to go into, because I don't think you can change. If you want to change, that means you have to like come back to part two and change. If you're already in part four and you say you want to change to like maybe occupational therapist, you have to come back to part two and change, because our courses are like so different from part two onward. Though we still had some similar classes together where we intersect from time to time, but it wasn't really a lot, so it was just few classes. So we are like sister professions. So then you move to the preclinicals, because that is the 200 level and 300 level. In preclinicals, you are doing anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. Anatomy, you're learning about the human body part, different things about it, like the structures. You're seeing how it is. You're doing histology and biology under anatomy. Embryology is like the origin of each of whatever you are seeing on the human body part, like where it is from, where it originated from, like the stem cells, the cells, the little cells that was forming while you were still a fetus. And histology is like description of these cells, types of cells, the tissue, the blah blah blah. So that's for anatomy. And we have physiology, which is the study of functions, different body parts. You're learning what the use is for. You are learning about the systems. You are learning about how it works, digestive system, reproductive system, everything, different thing. You're learning about the blood. You're learning about the different structures of your body, how they come together to like actually make a meaningful conclusion. That's what physiology is about. And we have biochemistry, which is the chemical aspect of the body. That is when you get to learn about different pathways to different chemical reactions, different things. Basically, that's about that. Also, in that preclinical stage, when you get to like your part three, you start doing courses like pharmacology. That is when you still like start learning about how drugs and exercises relate. Drugs get absorbed by the body, bioavailability, all these topics, to like really just understand that okay, when your patient is on certain medication, these are the type of exercises you should do, these are the precautions to take, and these are the things that would be like contraindication, that will tell you that no, don't do this, like a caution that this is not what you do. So aside from the general medical courses that you'll be doing, this anatomy, physiology, and so on, you get to start introducing yourself to physiotherapy. You learn about physiotherapy, learn about electrotherapy, learn about manual therapy. You start getting introduced to that phase at the preclinical level. So that is that about the preclinical phase. Then we move to the clinical phase, which is the 400 level and the 500 level. At this phase, you're already going to the clinic, which is the hospital. You're going to the physiotherapy clinic. You are getting to see patients, real life patients. I think 400 level is mainly for the exercise therapy part and even manual therapy. Like you are really going deeply into it, but there are different courses that you'd have to like encounter at these different phases. So in addition to whatever you'll be teaching, they will be teaching you in class, you'll be going for clinic, you're going to the clinic to like see real life conditions and see physiotherapy management, how to administer treatment sessions. If you want to know if it is exercise that this person need, or if it is another modality, if it is a technique that this patients will benefit from. They are different technicalities around these things, even though they might be the same condition, to like treat patients individually, like the individuality part of treatment. All these things are learned when you are like physically present. So that is why they say physiotherapy is hands-on. It is something that you need to see, you need to practice, you need to know, not just the theoretical aspect. That's why we go to the clinic, to like really know about these things better. In addition to your classes, to your clinical activities, you would be having your project in final year, which is the part 5. As at now, as at the last time that I was a student, physiotherapy is just 5 years. But I don't know, because there was a debate initially at some point while I was studying that they want to increase the number of years to 6 years. But maybe by the time you'll be watching this video, maybe by the year you'll be watching this video, they might have changed it. I'm telling you things from my own point of view, from my own experience. Currently, it is 5 years. So when you get to the 5th year, you start introducing projects like research. Choose a topic that you want with the help of a supervisor. You would have approved the topic. Sometimes the supervisor will give you the topic to like do, especially if you are confused on what to like research on. So that phase is like, I don't know. It's too. I would have said it's like a place of rest. It's like, yeah, finally I made it. It's a mixture of that as well as a lot of work, because then you are doing a whole lot of things. You're trying to like concentrate in class, because you still be having classes, you still be going to the clinic, and yes, your project takes like a huge chunk of your activities, especially in part 5. Then you are even doing all these FYB activities, because you have to. This is your final year in school. You want to celebrate it. You want to be involved. Although there is limitations for students in health sciences, you can't really go overboard with what you do. Some of this FYB week, you have to like tailor it in a way that it will you still be professional. They are kind of hard on us, because why not? Why can't you do costume day? Why can't you do, you guys, I don't really want to like go into all of that. Anyways, so that is what you basically do in your final year. um I forgot to mention the fact that when you are choosing your university of study, if you're going for a public university, which is also the government university, I want to mention that you should also include the chances of having extra months, extra year, because of the uncertainties of strike, of riot, of anything that can actually come up. Because public schools it's unpredictable. Anything can actually come up. Yeah. So usually even our lecturers will tell us then that is your course of study plus X. They'll tell us that it's 5 years plus X, it's 4 years plus X, whatever you are studying. It's an annoying experience. I also forget the fact that there are repeats, there are class repeats, there are course repeats or receipts, course receipts and class repeats, unlike carryovers. In medical school, in health sciences, there are no carryovers. You don't get to carry things over, except you are carrying elective over, maybe that. But for our main courses, you don't get to carry them over. You have to pass them as you go. Remember, I mentioned that in part one, you have to like really pass all your courses, like every of them, even if it's just practical. You have to pass it before you go to the next class. In part two, if you're going to fail at all, you can fail one, because when you fail a course, you get to resit before the new session. So you have the opportunity to like write it again and pass. Then you join your colleagues to move to the next class. And if you fail more than one, you are repeating the year. Same thing for part three. In part four, same thing. In part five, same thing actually. But in part five, we rarely have cases of repeating, but there are cases of receipts. Yes, people receipts like all through the year, academic year. So because it can be actually difficult, it can be. So you really just have to pass before you get to the next week. That is the rule. That is the golden rule of health science. Something I want to point out, that if you receipt and you fail, you are repeating the class. So that means you are repeating the class and doing every other thing that you passed. You are doing, it's like you are there anew, like you are in that class again. That is how it feels, basically. That is how it feels. Also, I would like to mention the fact that there is limitation of repetition. You cannot repeat more than twice. Aside part one, part one does not really count. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but part one, even the results you make in part one, it does not count at the end of the day. By the time they are choosing the BGS, by the time they are calculating the total mark of everybody, they don't really count part one, because we don't use GPA, we use percentage. So they calculate percentage per class, 200 level to 500 level. Those four classes are what they are going to like use to like judge your final score. So I was saying that you only have the opportunity to like repeat twice. After repeating twice, that is all. They are sending you out of the college to another department. So even if they eject somebody from like part four out of college, from part four or part three, person is starting again from part two in another department. The reason is because part one is like general science. So they just feel like, okay, you still have the knowledge of everybody. So they are not repeating you back to part one. They are just automatically pushing you to 200 level, because 200 level for every department is like the most vital aspect. That is when you start learning about the course itself. Also, if you fail three courses in a particular class, that is, I think that is also automatic ejection from health sciences, because they just feel like, oh, you don't know any of this thing, you don't know this thing, I don't think you are going to cope. So you guys, I'm going to teach you one trick. This trick is just my own advice. So maybe you're already in school right now and you're already feeling overwhelmed, you're already struggling so hard trying to pass these three courses at once. What I mean by three courses is, especially if you're in 200 level, this advice is for people in 200 level. So let's say anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry is already choking you so hard, and you are wondering that, oh god, how am I going to do it? My advice to you is that you should pick two of these three courses, know them so well, read them, seek help. Maybe I'm going to drop a video on how to actually pass your exam in health sciences, like how to like pass, how to excel, how to succeed, how to like, yeah, I will, by God's grace, hopefully. Yeah, I should actually, I should. So if you have any question, drop it in the comment section like that. I should be able to like create videos on them as soon as I can. Anyways, as I was saying, pick two of these three courses and make sure that you pass them. You know the pass mark for this stage is 50%. Make sure you know them to the extent that you can at least score a 50%. The reason why I'm saying this is because when you fail that last one eventually, you still get the opportunity to like resit it. You'll get the opportunity to read for it and actually pass so that you can join your colleagues, because it can actually be very stressful. Part two was like the most stressful part for me actually. I was literally struggling in part two, you guys. I was struggling to assimilate. It was that bad. Anyways, I should really do a video on surviving med school academically. So I think that is all so far. If you think I missed something out, or if there is anything that you want to still learn about being an undergraduate, being a medical student, being in physiotherapy, by all means, please just drop it in the comment section. I would love to see them. I would love to create content on them, because right now I'm compiling content for physiotherapy, med school, and undergraduate series. I'm going to make it into a playlist. So go ahead and ask me those questions. When you eventually graduate from school, when you've already passed all your courses, you've met all the requirements, you are now a graduate, the next phase is to induct. That induction, that is when you get to be a licensed physiotherapist, licensed occupational therapist. That is when you like they welcome you into the board. Yeah, MRTB. On your induction day, you get a temporary license, and that license would enable you to be able to like go for your 1 year internship at a registered or accredited hospital. So when you do your 1 year of internship completely, it is even after this internship that you get to serve your father's land. In Nigeria, we call this NYSC, National Youth Service Corps. So that is when you like go and serve. While serving, you're practicing in an hospital as well as your PPA. It might not be an hospital, as wherever your PPA is. Good luck. And yeah, that is all, you guys. That is basically all for this video. Next video after this might not be about physiotherapy, but definitely this year I'll be prioritizing um this playlist, because I'm curating a playlist right now with this video starting it. So feel free, ask your question, and you guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.